Welcome to Two Fools Podcast. This is Drew.
And Dave the Head.
And this is our final review on the Daredevil series.
Episode 11, 12, and 13.
Yep, they're wrapping it up for the season, and we're wrapping up this review series.
I did like to hear that they have already greenlit a second season.
Well, yeah, apparently it's popular, so they greenlit a second season. If this is doing that popular, whatever they got in the can next is probably guaranteed to go. So,
well, I mean, like we said before, Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Jessica Jones coming up. All of those should be pretty good.
We would hope. I did have to make the joke that on this, watching through it again, I was like, there are 5 freaking executive producers on this. How did it come out okay?
Like I said, well, executive producers, from what I've understood, are either people who donate money or, for some reason, got a shout-out.
Well, that, and they, depending on your producer, they also have a say in what happens.
Is it possible that some of the producers technically produced individual episodes? Kind of like you had directors of different episodes, you might have producers?
Well, they had one director that was for
an
the
overall
whole series. It might be different sets, like if they were shot in different areas.
And they just give credit to all of them at one time?
I guess. I don't know. I'd have to talk to someone that knows a bit more about Hollywood structure.
Well, you want to jump into the reviews of episode 11?
Sure. Episode 11.
I think episode 11 took out our Fields reporter. If you've followed along, Kayla's not here, and I think number 11 might have been part of the reason. I think she saw something on Tinder, or not Tinder.
Tinder's a dating site.
Yeah, what's the one with all the pictures that everybody... Tumblr.
Instagram or
Tumblr.
Tumblr.
I think she saw something on Tumblr that spoiled episode 11 for her, and because when I went back there and talked to her about it, she's like, I already saw it, Dad. They ruined it for me, Dad. And I was like...
feels.
Yeah, I mean, episode 11 was feel-tastic.
I mean, where should we start?
I don't know, but I know where it ended. There was at least 2 or 3 good, heavy feels, and then this awesome moment at the end where you're like, oh no, is it going to happen? What's going to happen? And
sure enough,
it happened.
It happens. And again, as you can bear witness, I was sitting there on the couch like, don't do it. Don't you do it.
Well, let's find out what the synopsis from...
Well, let's see. I forgot.
You're going to hit the main article, Daredevil Season 1.
Well, yeah, but I forgot the title. And the title is...
The Path of the Righteous.
Which... Still recovering from his injuries, Matt finds Melvin Potter, a mentally unbalanced engineer who has been coerced into working for Fisk, and asked him to make a suit of body armor like the ones he has made for Fisk. While Vanessa is recovering in the hospital, Karen and Ben locate Fisk's mom and learn the truth about his father's death. That's kind of weirdly structured.
Yeah, not to mention that technically happened in a previous episode.
While at the hospital, Wesley receives a phone call from Fisk's mother and learns that Karen and Ben have tracked her down. He confronts Karen and attempts to...
Let's go ahead and stop there.
Brr.
Let's get up to that. Let's get up to that.
So, yeah...
So we're dealing with the poisoning that happened at the special event.
Yeah, at the end of number 10. And Vanessa got poisoned along with a few other people. In the beginning, where they let you kind of hear that a few of those people have died. Yeah. So this was the real deal poisoning, not just some...
Not just a scare tactic.
Yeah. So...
And
most of the first part of this, we're seeing Fisk in the hospital with
stressing
Vanessa.
Out and dealing with this.
And Wesley's trying to, cover all angles and make sure everything's taken care of. Meanwhile, back on Team Foggy Murdoch, whatever, the band is still not back together.
Yeah, they're still all upset because of...
Well, Foggy's upset with Matt. Matt doesn't know what to say. Both of them are keeping Karen in the dark.
And then even our favorite nurse Claire shows up again.
For the final time, it seems.
Yeah, I was a little let down by this, that the Claire character wasn't more involved. I don't know if it has to do with the actress.
It could be that she has something else she signed on to, and so they could only get her for
so many times.
Or B, Or B, that was the old, look here, red herring.
Or the idea was she did bring some star power to it.
Could be.
Of course, if her character is based on the Marvel Night Nurse concepts, so there were 3 Night Nurses. And it was a very small, limited run of a character. So this character is kind of an amalgamation of those 3.
Amalgamation.
Sure, that word too. And, but if she's the character that I think they're basing her on, she has a relationship with Luke Cage.
So that might be a tie-in.
Well, how funny would that be if she does show up in the Luke Cage series?
Well, Marvel does like its tie-ins. So,
well, I mean the same actress and the same character.
Yeah, like I said, Marvel loves its tie-ins, so it's a possibility.
I mean, I don't think it would be a permanent thing, but I do think it'd be an interesting thing. And
well, so, nonetheless, while all this is going on with... Yeah, I did it again.
It's okay.
I gotta stop that. It's a bad tick.
Sure.
But, anyway. Wesley gets a call from Wilson's mom.
Yep.
Well, actually, no. Wilson gets a call and asks Wesley to call her back because he's busy with Vanessa. Wesley calls her back. And then she's going, oh, these 2 people came to see me.
Well, we don't hear it,
Yeah,
but we figure
it
out.
out. Because then Wesley's kind of panicking and, asking for a gun and the keys.
So I'm trying to remember, what were the 2 major feel moments? Oh, they happened in the show, and when they happened...
Well, one of the major feel moments for me was when Matt finds Melvin, and they get into a fight, and at the end...
Oh, yeah, and Melvin does it because he's protecting Betsy, whoever she is.
It's just a fight, and then all of a sudden, Matt, chokes him out till he almost passes out, lets him go. And instead of... I was like, oh, he's going to get back up and go at it again. No, Melvin starts to cry.
Yeah,
And I don't know what...
I remembered, so when the first time they showed him, I was thinking to myself, he's an idiot savant. I hate to use this term, but he was special ed.
I didn't catch that. I guess I just wasn't paying attention, or...
Or maybe... In this whole series, I hate to say it this way, maybe there's something wrong with me, but in this whole series, I've been seeing that in several different people. You know what I mean? I still think Fisk has social, emotional
yeah, but that doesn't
issues.
mean you're special ed like Melvin.
Sure. I think he's like what they would have called an idiot savant. Dude, when he started talking to Matt, or the man in the mask, I really felt it was like Lenny talking to George from Mice of Men.
But,
He's gonna hurt George.
Again, I got a little clue of it, because when he came in, he opened that fridge, and he got a Yoo-hoo, and he just seemed so excited about it.
Well, I mean, it's a Yoo-hoo.
Yeah.
It's worth getting excited about.
Well, I don't like Yoo-hoos, but...
That's because you're made of the hate.
You've known me how long, and you're just figuring this out?
No, I'm just reminding the listeners that that's the only reason why a human who's not allergic to chocolate could definitely not like Yoo-hoos.
It doesn't taste like chocolate.
It's a chocolate drink.
Drink.
It's delicious.
But, they get in a fight, and he starts...
It's delicious.
Stop that.
Taste it. It's good for you.
Stop molesting the mic.
After I did the creepy voice, so that's well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
But, yeah, he starts to cry, and just him going... He's going to hurt, Betty, I believe was the name he kept saying.
Betty or Betsy, something like that.
Just saying, you are not supposed to be here. And it was just that breakdown from what I thought was just a normal, maybe somewhat low-level criminal dude to, oh, he can't help it.
I think the other part of it was...
And I don't know what it was, but something just pulled at my heartstrings there.
I think the other thing that was kind of in this episode that really tugs on the heartstrings, as it were, is... We see all these relationships that we've kind of been fanboying, fangirling on after. Kayla and I more than you, but still, they're falling apart. And it hurts a little bit. And you can see for the characters, it hurts for a lot.
Oh, well, yeah, I see that there, and that's interesting, but, at that moment, I'm still like, okay, it's still a show, right. I'm not going into crazy old lady calling actors by their sitcom names territory.
I thought it was kind of odd that they would take the effort to craft all this new kind of relationships with already established characters and make a point of doing so just to have it all fall apart.
I think it was as much a red herring for people that know the stuff. So that way it kind of makes them think, oh, this is different. Maybe da-da-da-da, you know.
Yeah, but it should have stayed different.
Maybe they're not done. Who knows? We'll see.
That's a fair statement.
We got another season coming up, so...
Well, do we want to go ahead and drop the bomb for episode 11?
Yeah, and this is the one where I was on the couch like, don't you do it! Don't you do it!
So, meanwhile, Wesley takes the gun and the keys and tracks down Miss Karen Page. It seems that Mom remembered the pretty blonde girl with the big blue eyes and drags her to this abandoned warehouse to have a discussion. I think he kind of knocked her out with some, like, formaldehyde on a rag or
chloroform.
something. Yeah, chloroform.
Cool. Formaldehyde, you might knock out because it smells bad, but that's not the chemical.
Okay.
You probably die before you pass out from it. But
grabbing people from behind with smelly cloth
does
skills
this smell like chloroform?
My skill's low. I don't do it, so...
Excuse me, miss. Does this smell like chloroform to you?
Hey, this tastes like high school again.
Whoa.
Okay, so
Slow
she wakes
down
up
there.
and he starts having a discussion, and she's all like, is this supposed to frighten me? Where he pulls out his nice silver-plated pistol and goes, no, this is, and puts it on the table.
And they go kind of tit for tat.
Yes,
on
dialogue.
Until he pretty much reveals that she's going to say, oh, Wilson Fisk is the best, and I was completely wrong.
Right.
Or he was going to hunt down anyone and everyone she cared about and put a bullet in them.
So he was trying to get her to come for Team Fisk, and the phone rings.
Yep.
And he looked at it.
And he got distracted. She grabs the gun.
And points it at him.
And then he's like, oh, you think I'm dumb enough to have a loaded gun on the table?
Which she pulls the hammer back.
Which you don't need to do with those guns, but...
I know, but it makes, like I said, it makes the trigger pull easier.
It's an
automatic.
It's an automatic.
Pulling the hammer back on automatic does make the trigger on...
Well, it does, but you can just go click.
True. And which Karen does. Now...
6 times.
I think the first shot... I think Wesley was wearing one of those special suits.
Yes, he was. The first shot hit the armor.
It did, and whether or not it stopped the bullet, you don't really tell. And you don't
But she unloaded
well, I'm
the
going to
rest of
say, you can't really tell. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because she puts 5 more into the center.
Yep.
And Wesley stops moving. Stops scheming.
So Wesley is out of the picture now.
Which is kind of a sad thing because he was a pretty good bad guy all on his own.
Yeah. He was a good minion.
Well,
Real
I think
good
he was
minion.
better. Minion, I think, is a little mean to him. I mean, he's the right-hand man.
Yeah, but at the same time, he never did anything without Fisk except for this episode.
Well,
and
he
it
did
got
a
him
few things, but not many.
And this is the one time we see him go major league out of the way without being told to do it, and it got him killed.
True, but I think that the show could have... I understand that them using this to be one of those final straws on the camel back of Fisk's grasp of reality and sanity, because he does start losing it and going directly into I'm tired of being that dual identity of good and bad.
Well, that and knowing certain things from the comic book where Karen Page has a drug habit, they might be using that to set that up,
I don't think she had a drug habit, because she makes the statement, you think this is the first time I've ever shot someone.
I'm just saying, they could use that as a setup, because,
Well, they've said in
you don't
past
just
episodes.
shoot a man and forget about it, unless you're Wilson Fisk, apparently. But
they've said in past episodes that she has a history, and Ben found it, and we don't ever find out what it is. But I don't think they're going the drug habit. I think she probably ended up shooting someone in self-defense, and
we'll see. Again, if it's close to the comics. The whole Murdoch Files, or whatever the storyline was called, she has a drug habit.
Well, she's had a lot of problems in the comics.
Sells Matt Murdock out to her dealer.
Sure.
Who then actually works for the Kingpin, but that's a comic thing.
Well, in the comics, almost all organized crime eventually works for the Kingpin. Mm-hmm. You may be 18 or 22 steps away from the Kingpin, but, just like the guy who sweeps up at the McDonald's is realistically... some way connected to Ray Kroc.
Kraft or Ray
Kroc? It was Kroc. Okay. I do remember that one.
No. Well, either way.
So yeah, that was the end of episode 11. Holy shit.
So, we move on to episode 12, The Ones We Leave Behind. Matt dismantles Madame Gao, which I call Chinese Grandma, Gao's drug smuggling operation, prompting her to leave the city, while Karen begins drinking heavily to cope with Wesley's death. Matt and Karen make amends, and Ben attempts to publish his expose on Fisk.
And stop! Because this one had a surprise ending.
It wasn't a surprise. I saw it coming a mile away.
Well, I totally didn't, considering the character. But
yeah.
This one, realistically, this is one of those episodes that flowed pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. It was like, there's nothing super big happening, but at the same time, it's important. Mm-hmm. The following the blind drug mules and breaking that part up.
Matt going all hardcore parkour on top of the roofs.
Oh, I wonder how many people are going to start imitating him and get hurt.
Probably way too many, but
okay, so that happens, and the reason this episode, I said, kind of goes by fast is because there's only one thing you need to know in this episode, and I was quite surprised by it.
And again, you can attest to this. As soon as I saw Ben come into that room with his box of things and that bottle, I was like, here we go.
So Ben writes up a news report and wants to get it printed, and the editor guy's all like, this is bullshit, we're not doing it. And so Ben confronts him, and
and says, how much is Fisk paying you?
So that pushes him from, you're going to be suspended for a couple of days and think about your life, to, you know what, you're fired.
Yep. So Ben goes and talks to his wife.
Who reminds him what kind of a...
Yeah. Well, this is the most we've seen of the wife.
Yeah, it was most coherent she's been as well.
Well, but she reminds him that it doesn't matter if he's working for a paper or just putting it out there on the internet. He's been damn it, and he's gonna write a good story.
Because it's always about the story.
And so
he goes home to put it on the interwebs.
And Wilson Fisk is waiting there. Now, they waited a bit longer to show he was there than I thought. I thought he was going to come in, put that box down, pick up that bottle of Glenlivet he had, take a drink, and then whammo! Nope. They waited for him to sit down, start typing, and then Wilson Fisk pipes up.
I get the whole idea of this scene that Fisk is supposed to be scary, dangerous, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But, I don't know, man. He just went, in appearance-wise, from 0 to fuck crazy in no time flat.
Well, when the woman you care about almost got killed, and you don't know who did it, and
your mommy gets visited by strangers. I don't know. I get it. I mean, I got all the point. I understand it. It's weird to me.
Well, that, and again, as you said, something ain't all right up there with Fisk to begin with.
Yeah, so Fisk chokes Ben to death.
Chokes. Just all out. No headbutt, no beating, just chokes.
Kind of mushed him around the room a little bit. But
well, yeah, it's not going to be just a dead.
It would have been nice to see Ben hit him in the fucking head with that bottle of stuff.
I know. I was like, grab the bottle. Grab the ball. Hit him in that bald head. But nope. So, yeah, no, I was not happy with that one.
So, episode 13 starts
Daredevil.
at Ben's funeral.
Matt and Karen attend Ben Urich's funeral, and Matt reassures Karen that Fisk and his co-conspirators will face justice. Meanwhile, Fisk learns that Owsley, they call him Leland mostly.
Yeah, Leland Owsley.
Owsley and Madame Go conspired to poison Vanessa, whom they deemed to be a distraction, and that Owsley has been hiding Detective Hoffman as an insurance policy. And I'm not going to read the rest of it,
because we're going to talk about it here for just
anyway,
and we don't need to be reminded.
Yeah, we have the scene at the cemetery. Our old friend, the priest that keeps giving Matt advice, is there again.
He's a pretty good character.
I like him. Karen goes up and speaks to Ben's wife, and they have a moment,
and then she reassures him that Ben did what he needed to be doing with his entire life, and that that Karen was the kind of person that Ben and her would have liked as people, kind of made this whole reference. We never had kids, but if we did, sure would wanted her to be like you.
Mm-hmm. And, pretty much said it's not your fault. Ben was doing what Ben does.
Yep.
And then also lets them know that Ben had apparently a hefty life insurance policy, so...
Yep.
So she's taken care of and is wheeled out of the series right then and there.
This episode could also have been called the paid-off episode.
And after that, we see Leland and Chinese grandma meet up on a rooftop, all Batman style.
Well, if it ain't this episode, it was the last one, and
Madame
Gao leaves town.
Well, they're talking, and it's revealed that they're the ones that caused the whole poisoning incident.
Like I said, I knew Leland was on it, and you could tell from
just the way he held that glass and went, oh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could tell as the third party, as a third person watching a show.
Well, that and Leland's always been very crabby about
everything.
Vanessa, especially, so...
Oh, I just went with everything.
He has been crabby about everything. But
and so they confront each other because Fisk finds problems in his money. And
Gao and Leland talk, and, Leland finally learns that Gao speaks English, but... I do like what Gao says, like, I will return to my home country to think over it. And he's like, all the way back to China? And she said, no, it's much further than that. You think there's any kind of the hand going on there? Or whatever the other group was that fights against the hand?
She could be in what's called Madapur, which is a Marvel-created country, to my knowledge. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be like a cross between Hong Kong and Singapore. And it's... very heavily criminal based and stuff. A lot of bad things happen there. Tough and Rumble Marvel characters end up there. Wolverine did and lived his patch.
Because I was getting to say, watching something, there was a tad bit of a spoiler about, if you remember in the episode with Stick, and we're pointing to the guy with the scars. Or, we saw the guy from behind, and it was like, will Matt Murdock be a worthy soldier in the coming fight? Whatever is supposed to fight the hand, there's some organization that fights the hand.
To my knowledge, it's the same organization that trains Iron Fist.
Well, that's what that was supposed to be.
Like the Fist of the Dragon or something like that.
Well,
I heard
it was called something like the Chase or the Chalice or something like that.
I gotta be honest with you, that those kind of characters were not... the characters I were into.
I'm just letting you know. So, Stick's a part of this whole hand thing, and
for the longest time, I've been a more Avengers and X-Men fan than, like, let's say, the street levels of Spider-Man, Daredevil, or the martial arts characters such as Iron Fist or Shang something or other, the Kung Fu Master, Karate Master. I don't know.
You know, like Wong.
Well, Wong is a Doctor Strange character.
You mess up with the wrong Wong man.
That's right. This is the Wong film to talk about.
I know that's coming out soon.
Maybe. Who knows?
But so yeah, after everything kind of calms down for Fisk for a bit, and he's had a moment to sit and not murder somebody, he starts looking over the stuff Wesley was working on to get Vanessa out of the country, and notices there's something wrong here.
Yeah, how he finds the finances, backstory, whatever. But he finds the finance thing, confronts Leland. Leland's all like, snobby, arrogant, money guy.
I have Hoffman on hidden from you, and he'll ruin you if you even try to kill me.
So I'm gonna get me and my boy and half your money. We're leaving the country. How's that sit with you?
And Fisk throws him down an elevator shaft.
I like that he hit him in the face.
Yeah,
and then Leland tries to taser
him, and it just pisses him off.
Yeah, well, gotta get through all them fat neck rolls.
And he throws him down a shaft.
I think that was one of the things of them keeping the... Kingpin's a durable, tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And people always think he's just fat guy. And he's not. He's really strong. He might not be the fastest person in the world, but he's always been really strong.
And actually knows how to fight.
Yeah, in the comics, he has actually learned some swordman skill from... like some Japanese kendo master or something. I'm not really sure the backstory. But the point is that he's durable, he's strong, then they have this special suit. So, I mean, he's a dangerous customer physically. Plus, he's willing to, bash your head with his head and slam you with a car door and choke you to death in your own living room. I mean, it just...
After he kills Leland...
Beat your dad with a hammer.
Yeah. In the back of the head.
Because fuck that guy.
Well, he was a dick, but...
He was just 12 No, I'm not.
No,
you're
his dad.
I get it.
Was it just me, or does his dad kind of look like Red from that 70s show, just younger?
I think that was just you.
It might have been me.
It was a better guess. If you'd have said Bob from that 70s show, I might have been more on board.
I don't remember half the characters. Red was the most thing that stood out.
Yeah, he didn't look like Red.
So he kills Leland, gets on the phone, says, "Hey, sweep, find Hoffman, kill him."
So, Murdoch hears crooked cops looking for him and talking about it while him and Foggy
are talking to what's his
Officer Mahoney,
the only clean cop on the force, it seems.
Or at least the highest ranking of the 10%.
Well, they keep killing off all the good ones.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Officer, I've only been on the force 2 months.
You mean officer or patrolman plot device?
Yes.
Oh, man.
So they sweep. Matt hears it, so Matt's like, I gotta find Hoffman before they do.
And he does.
Well,
he does as they do.
As they do. The police find the place, come in, shoot up all the guys that are protecting
Which was
him.
amazing to finally see some cops who were actually hitting targets, which kind of pisses me off. It's like the only time cops can hit a target
is when they're bad.
Yeah, and they're shooting other bad guys. I don't know, man.
So they show up, and they're about to execute Hoffman. Matt shows up.
Just 2 dudes walk into this large, abandoned-looking ballroom and starts putting down 2 or 3 dudes on the floor and 1 or 2 dudes up in the balcony.
Yeah.
Some of them had machine guns. I don't know, man. I thought that was just goofy. I get it that this is supposed to be a dangerous situation.
Well, I also think they were like, we need a bit of action.
Yeah.
So Matt gets there, saves Hoffman.
The man in the mask.
Yes. Saves Hoffman, tells Hoffman, you're going to go down to the 15th precinct, turn yourself into Mahoney and Mahoney alone. I'm going to follow you the whole way there, and if you divert anywhere, it's not going to be your night.
So he goes and turns himself in, and then Nelson
FBI
and Murdoch.
all over the place.
And Nelson and Murdoch representing
Hoffman. FBI all over the place, arresting everybody.
Yeah, let's say we got about 10 minutes worth of that montage of arresting people.
That one street hustler can't get a break.
I liked him. He's been in. I bet you he'll be back too.
It's the street hustler that was originally working for the Russians for the slave trade, and then he sold out the Russians. It's the same guy. He just can't catch a break.
He's the one who got beat up.
He's been beat up like 4 times by Daredevil.
Daredevil beat him up and found out where that body armor was coming from.
Yep. And in the past episode, he cannot catch a break because we cut and he's sitting there running from like 5 FBI guys.
Is it just me, or does he look a little bit like Ludacris?
I don't know.
Okay.
Rap is not my thing.
I think he'll be back. He's an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
The actor portrays him pretty well.
It's just not his. It's not his month. Whatever.
Dude, he's just a street hustler,
and he getting beat up and cracked down on all the time.
He's gonna do like 6-12 months. Be back out.
The lawyer's office where Matt and Foggy originally were interning at, a lot of their senior partners look like they got busted. Yeah. Or Foggy we saw one get taken in, and Foggy referenced like half the rest of them.
Yeah, Foggy and his old girlfriend hooked back up, and then she started funneling information to Foggy, and I don't know how I feel about that situation, but she helped out, and hey, I bet she makes partner now. There's a lot of vacancy. No, they say at the end of the episode she's got to find a new job.
Yeah, well, because you're not making that whole
place is
getting shut down by the FBI till they weed out everybody.
And then they go and arrest Wilson. And they put him in a truck. And they start driving down the road.
And then Wilson starts telling us the parable of the Good Samaritan.
And he compares himself not to the rabbi, not to the Levite, not even to the traveler who got waylaid on the side of the road.
Well, he said, I at one time thought I was the Samaritan.
Right.
But I've come to find I am the ill content.
He is the ill intent. He is the one who will knock you in your head and take your shit and leave you bleeding on the side of the road.
And more of his cronies show up, bust up the transport, shooting a lot of people.
And then they go to a warehouse, swap trucks, and are heading to a helicopter.
And he's calling Vanessa saying, hey, if I'm not there in 20 minutes, you get the hell out.
And a billy club comes to the window.
Well, Daredevil goes, grabs his new red and black skivvies from Melvin.
Yeah, but we don't see it, so Until he throws the thing through the window.
No, causes crash. And
Overactive driver overreacts.
And we have the punch-up we've been waiting for the whole series. Him and Wilson Fisk in an alleyway. Mano a mano. Rebar versus sticks.
Billy Clubs. Yeah. What'd you think of the suit?
I liked it. It looked neat. It looked like an actual piece of combat armor. It didn't just look like
in the 90s.
Red what do you call it?
Red leather.
Red leather.
That's really what the Daredevil suit was for the longest time. In the 90s,
spandex. That was what I was trying to say. It didn't look like red spandex.
I know a lot of people say it was spandex, but I think it was. I don't know. Maybe they did both.
That one actually looked like tack armor, which I liked.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Is in the 90s they tried to do that. Mm-hmm. They tried to do an armor. Mm-hmm. You could look it up on Google real easy, and fans did not go to it at all. Everyone shot it down. I don't know if it just wasn't time yet or traditional. It's just,
I think that's more. Comics tend to be a more traditional bunch, I would say.
I don't know if the Marvel Knights rewrites were able to sneak armor in or not. Mm-hmm. But in a world with Mr. Fantastic making unstable molecule uniform that never gets destroyed, in a world where, you've got adamantium frying pans in the Avengers mansion, because Jarvis wears one on his head once. It's ridiculous. It's funny. People do this
for those that don't understand, in the comics, Jarvis was an actual person, not a computer.
Not a computer program. Which, if you've seen the Peggy Carter series, you get an idea of the character concept.
He was pretty much Tony Stark's Alfred.
Well, to be fair, he was Howard Stark's Alfred.
That then went to Tony.
Yeah, but by the time Tony became Iron Man in the comics, Jarvis was pretty old and fat, and
but he was still around.
His deal was he took care of the Avengers. He washed the uniforms. He made sure food was made. His whole bit was, I'm here for the Avengers, so the Avengers don't have to worry about the little shit.
And that's pretty much Alfred.
Alfred does more than that.
Oh yes, but that's
but the other side of the
that's
coin
the best way for a layman for me to put it.
True. Hey, we're not talking to laymen. We're talking to comic book dorks.
Oh, well, with this series, I think it's drawing in a lot of laymen, too.
I was going to say, the other side is Alfred has...
Sorry about that.
Bruce and a sidekick or two to worry about. That's realistically it.
Do you ever think Alfred ever wondered when Bruce started bringing these little boys home?
I'm not getting involved in that part of the discussion. All I'm going to say was, if it happens, Alfred already knew. And if it doesn't happen, shame on you for bringing it up. But
I'm just pointing something out.
But Alfred only has to take care of 2, 3, 5 people tops. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And let's be honest. When the Batcave gets 5 people in it, something special and dangerous is happening, and it's only a short-term miniseries. So... Jarvis is taken care of anywhere between 4. That's the smallest I ever remember the Avengers roster being. Up to, crossover events could easily have 30 Avengers in it.
Yeah.
And you had Avengers West Coast, Avengers. Then later on they did the 50 State Initiative, which ain't quite Avengers, but yeah, it goes on. So...
Hero from each state.
Yeah. So...
do I even want to know what our states...
I don't think they really ever did that for South Carolina. I could be wrong, but...
why do I have a feeling it's Possum Man?
And how did we get to Jarvis on this? Butlers. I want to know.
We were talking about armor.
The armor in the 90s, right. Yeah. Right. So, man, talk about a tangent path. Woo! Little Red Riding Hood said, fuck Grandma's house, we're going to go see the 3 Little Pigs. Yeah. So, yeah, the armor looks like armor.
The big bad wolf's eating good tonight?
That's right. Eat Grandma and the pigs. Fables reference. Anyhow.
Baby.
The armor looked good. I agree with you. It did look realistic. The armor guy said some stuff about the black parts and the red parts.
He didn't have enough time to finish coding or whatever the process is. So the black parts were the most protective.
Didn't he say they were almost bulletproof?
Yeah, I think he said they were, if not bulletproof, as close as he was going to get. Red would stop a knife.
Deflect a knife, he said.
Depending on the angle, maybe.
But the bottom line is as I have some friends in the military, and they've worn different levels and versions of Kevlar and second chance vests, you learn and then also some people in the SCA who did some sword fighting, you learn that armor might stop you from dying, and it might stop you from getting cut. It will not stop you from getting bruised and broken ribs and stuff like that.
And the Kingpin is all about blunt force damage.
Right, so, blunt force trauma. The little helmet he had, I think
that would have helped
out.
his nugget, because it was a hard helmet.
Yeah, it did look like that.
But he was still getting beat upside.
He got tossed around like a rag doll at times.
So he's hurting, even if it doesn't show us. He's hurting.
I gotta be honest with you. The fight scene at the end to me was not the payoff. The montage of everybody getting arrested, that was the payoff. This was just, for lack of better terms, this was fan service.
Well, that's
I'm
what
not saying
the fans
wrong.
want to see. They want to see that showdown between Daredevil and Kingpin.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it wasn't the money for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's what they want. That's what most people, I have a feeling a lot of people that came into this, that's the main things they know is Daredevil and Kingpin. And they're going to want that showdown, so they gave them that showdown.
Well, do you want to talk about the whole thing as a whole?
Well,
now that we're done,
our final little piece is we do get to see Fisk in prison.
Yeah.
In his all white.
Staring at the wall.
Staring at the wall that looks exactly like the painting he bought.
Which looked exactly like the stucco wall when he was 12, because his daddy put him up against the wall and said, think about what kind of man you want to be. Well, apparently he wanted to be the kind of man that hit his dad in the back of the head with a claw hammer. Not saying his dad didn't deserve it.
Overall, I enjoyed it. Originally, when I heard it, I was going to I'm just going to ignore this and move on.
You're totally not doing that with me in the house.
No, apparently not, but originally, when I first heard this was coming, I hadn't gotten here yet. So I was like, I'm just going to ignore it. And it's not that I have anything against Marvel or Daredevil. I just
weren't invested yet.
Well, I'm not a TV series guy.
Right.
And that's what this felt like. TV series just on Netflix.
Well, I mean, technically, that's kind of what it is.
Well, it is. And for me to get really, really, really going, you have to have something that just hooks me right then, within the first 2 or 3 episodes. This did that.
Well, see, the advantage that Marvel and Netflix are going to have here is even secondary, or I don't want to say anything less. I think Daredevil would count as a second-tier hero. His comics have lasted longer than many first-tier heroes. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has over 50 years worth of comic book history. I think 1964, I looked it up from the last time we talked about it. I think 64 was when it started. And he's that noir, street-level type comic book, and it's been around. So Marvel and Netflix has a deep, deep well that they can touch. And realistically, the people portraying the characters are the only thing that can really hurt this. Because I saw when you did a Google search for the Daredevil series, I saw a little clip on the side there where it said the guy wanted his own Daredevil movie. And I think it could happen, but yeah, Charlie Cox wants to make a standalone Daredevil movie.
I'd say stick with the series guy. I'm not saying you couldn't pull it off. I'm just saying,
well, we don't know how popular it is, and then
it's popular enough for a second season. So
sure, but seasonal. I mean, television programming is not the same as movies.
It's not, but at the same time, Netflix wouldn't be Netflix plus. I'm sure Marvel Studios / Disney is putting a little into it to help, but I don't think they would be using resources if they didn't think it was popular.
What I'm getting at, though, was the resources required to make a television show are much more manageable than it seems that they ever do with a movie. Seems like when people make movies, they just feel like they've got to go stupid.
Again, just from watching behind the scenes stuff, because see, this is the bad thing with me. I will watch behind the scenes stuff before I watch the series.
See, I don't really care for behind the scenes stuff.
I just love to see how things are done, and how they're made, and what. And with some series, especially ones that go on for more than a season or two, it gets the level of Hollywood production.
Yeah, but usually that's all tied up in the cost of the actors. Let's be realistic.
Debatable.
Friends does not take a lot of money to make. All the money that show cost to make went into the salaries of the actors.
Again, I'm not going to say it didn't, because I don't know everything there.
Well, I remember hearing news reports where they were getting $1 million an episode.
That's a lot of damn money to me. I'll take it.
What I'm getting at is it's $6 million just to pay the actors. That has nothing to do with the sets, the equipment, the people to run the equipment, the writers, everything else involved in the show. Now, obviously, they were making the money or they wouldn't be giving the money. So, yeah, I know you're not a big fan of the Firefly series, but the Firefly series on television was made within the confines of TV money. Serenity, the movie, was made with a movie budget. And in a lot of ways, it showed when a lot of the special effects were upgraded. So, I'm just afraid that if they go to a movie aspect, that I really think the actors and their income is going to be the good or bad part of this. And I'm not saying they don't deserve money. Obviously, they do. They made a very good quality program. It has sold quite well. If it makes the mother company money, it should get everybody rich. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the second thing is, what story needs to be told in a movie format that cannot be told in the television format that's already been done? You get what I'm saying? You didn't watch Serenity, the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
No.
Okay, and
why?
You didn't.
I didn't watch the original.
Well, see, I watched the movie before I ever saw the series. I didn't even know there was a series when I saw the movie. I saw the movie because, hey, there's a trailer, and it looked interesting, so I went and saw it. And then I found out there was more to it, and saw it on a marathon on Sci-Fi Channel. But that's my point I'm getting at is the Serenity movie, while that story could have been told on television, it was also able to be told in an hour and a half or 2 hour block on the movie. So, just as Avatar The Last Airbender should not be crushed down into a 2 hour movie, because that was terrible, neither should a 2 hour movie be stretched over 8 episodes.
Well, again, with the whole crushing down, that goes back to my argument of director in the chair causes movie problems, but nonetheless.
There's no way you could have told the entire first season of Avatar The Last Airbender in a one movie style.
Well, we know that, but apparently M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong didn't get that memo, so... Nonetheless, that's a tangent for another time, another place.
Well, I mean, do you think a Daredevil movie should be made, or will stand on its own?
It has the potential. It just depends on where they go with it.
And
they don't have to do the what do you call it? The introductory.
Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Again, I would think. Hopefully, they would just build off the series if they make another.
I mean, let's be realistic. How many times have they reinvented Spider-Man already? Twice?
Well,
they didn't really need to go into the Spider-Man origin story.
They did that because they have to. If they don't make a movie every so many years, they lose the copyright.
That's behind-the-scenes stuff, and what I'm talking about is the story.
But that's why they make it. It's not because they really are like, oh my god, this is the greatest story ever. They're doing it so they can keep making that movie, keep holding the copyright, so that they can keep selling merchandise. The merchandise is making them 10 times what movies are.
Sure.
That's what Lucas learned back in the day with Star Wars.
I haven't really heard a lot of Daredevil paraphernalia coming out. Or
not yet.
I'm sure there's some toys and action figures
not yet,
being
but
sold.
soon enough. They probably were waiting to see if this was a hit. Now, since this is a hit, you're probably going to see T-shirts and other things starting to roll off the assembly line.
Well, T-shirts have always been. I mean,
yes.
People who like comics like T-shirts.
But I'm saying now there's going to be an even better market for it because you got people that have watched this show and want it. Maybe you got kids that have watched this show. That's a parental discretion thing, but nonetheless, And maybe they want Daredevil toys. I don't know. But the merchandise, you'll make 10 times your money back on.
Well, I guess what my final saying in this is their success may be their downfall as well.
I'm usually the man that is gloom and doom, and I'm not going to take that right now. I think so far right now, they've got a good place that they're at. They've got a place they can go. There's a ton of stuff they can do next season. You don't necessarily have to focus on Wilson Fisk.
Well, I don't think they should have focused on him yet, but...
Well, this was an origin story for both of them.
Sure, I was about to say, the second season could easily be the Fisk that I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
The quiet that you're only going to see maybe in 2-4 episodes.
Maybe.
And realize that...
We did have that reference to Elektra earlier on.
And realize that he's been pulling the strings behind the scenes all this time. Especially with him being in prison. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize is that Fisk has went to prison in the comics.
Multiple times.
And was much more dangerous in prison because nobody expected him there to be doing anything.
Again, they made that reference to Elektra, so that might be in there.
And I know a lot of people think that Sniper was Bullseye.
And so, if it was, that might be something.
And maybe Stiltman?
You and Stiltman.
Dude, Stiltman.
That and the Hand.
Yeah. The Hand. I see Hand's one of those kung fu aspects of the comics that I just really... They're mythical ninjas that give their life to bring back people from the dead or some bullshit like that. I don't know. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, but it was part of Daredevil's storyline.
And who knows, Stick could be leading the charge against that, and you'd get that guy coming back. Who the actor is interesting, I just don't like the character. And I mean, I don't like him. Like, if he was a real person, I would not want to be around him.
I enjoyed the character for what it was, but... I've enjoyed this series for what? From me going from like, oh, I don't want to, don't make me watch it, to...
Oh, I think it was really good, and because of it, I give a lot more of a damn about Daredevil than I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
I just worry that, like I said, I just worry about it.
Again, in Netflix's hand, they seem to know what they're doing.
They've shown that...
Because they've had a couple of series that they've done this with.
Yeah, like the Marco Polo series I saw was pretty good.
And Orange is the New Black. I haven't watched that, but I know it's...
A lot of people are into it.
It had like 3 seasons now, I believe.
Well, quite frankly, I think this shows that the concept of making a show for a specific market and selling it to that specific market is the new way to go for television.
Well, it's the new way to go for the new media, if nothing else. Netflix is going... We're not just going to wait for you to produce something. We're going to produce it ourselves to drive up viewership.
Right. But let me compare it a different way. If you don't have cable,
correct,
or satellite,
correct,
you have to use an antenna. Well,
or like us and say, screw it, we got internet.
That was coming down the line, but here in this house where I physically live, I've hooked an antenna to the television, and I got 2 of the 3 main broadcast channels. We did not get ABC. We got CBS and NBC. Mm-hmm. We got Channel 21, which is our local Fox affiliate, and we got Channel 62 or 40. I don't remember which. But the point is that...
That's like the WB affiliate, I think.
But
like that.
Around here, it's CBS kind of side channel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the point is we only got like 4 channels, really.
Yep. And
so, yeah, we say, screw that, can't afford cable, but we're already buying internet, so let's just use the Roku and see what we can find. And, dude, I would definitely pay
$8.
Yeah, to have access to this kind of
stuff.
stuff.
That, and I might be getting us some TV back.
I don't know.
No, there's a... Well, I'll talk to this... Not on the podcast. But.
Well, so let's say just future imaginings.
Mm-hmm.
So Luke Cage comes out in June, maybe. No, I'm just making it up.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil came out in April. We did not... It came out on the 10th, and here it is near the end of the month.
It depends on...
We took our time and watched it. It lasted for a couple of weeks.
It depends on whether or not they were waiting to see if this took off before they started shooting Luke Cage or not.
I thought they already did.
I don't know. I haven't read, so I don't know.
I think they kind of made all 4 of them at the same speed.
Could be.
I just think, I think this is going to be a very good thing. I think it could become the new way entertainment is created and sold. And I'm on board. Like we talked about one time, DVDs were selling for certain series, and I never understood why. If you know you can sell 3 million copies of a DVD set, if you know that fan base exists, why can you not take a look at the property you own and see if you can make it work within the confines of a cost that works efficiently so everybody gets paid?
Well,
and I think Netflix and Disney, aka Marvel, just showed that you could.
Well, it's because technology's finally getting to that point where... Because it always takes a couple of years for people to adapt the new technology. I mean, take a trip in the Wayback Machine. I know this is going to make RJ angry, but take a trip in the Wayback Machine back to right when DVDs were first starting coming out. How long did it take for you to get a DVD player?
I got a PlayStation 2 to be my DVD player, and I know the PlayStation 2 was out for a little bit before I got it. I get what you're saying. I mean, when the CDs first hit, I was behind on that.
Yeah. And it just takes a little time. The only people that are going to have it right then, right there, are the people that are...
But I'm sure that exists.
Technophiles that got to have it.
I'm sure that theory exists throughout life. I mean, throughout history of mankind. The light bulb took a while to get into everybody's home. You know what I mean?
Well, the prevailing theory of media is every advance in media technology is just a way to transfer porn, but nonetheless.
Make mine Marvel.
Well, we probably should wrap this up. Good series. You probably already watched it by now if you're here.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it and you're listening, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Well, if we haven't convinced you to watch it, or maybe just
we haven't spoiled everything.
Well, no, I mean, maybe somebody listened to this and went, I wanted to watch the show, but I wasn't sure I was going to like it, and maybe we saved you some time. Maybe we told you about some stuff you didn't want to see or aren't interested in. Maybe we found people who just ain't into superheroes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And saved them a little time. Whatever. If you ever feel like giving us some feedback, Drew's about to tell you how.
Yep, you can go on to Podomatic at Two Fools Network. Leave us a comment there. You can find us on YouTube at Two Fools Network. You can find us on Facebook, Two Fools Network. And we also have a Twitter account, Two Fools TWN.
Really?
Yes.
This is like the third time you've told me, I'm sure, and I'm like, really? Twitter?
Yes. Not much has happened.
Okay, so we'll see you next time.
This is Drew.
And Dave the Head.
Catch you later.